Hey everybody, it's MrFloridaflipper, and we're back with another episode in the series of my eBay reselling journey. And today we're going to talk about some of the returns that I had. You know, I always try to keep you guys abreast of any changes in my eBay business, the ups and downs. So I had a lot of returns actually recently. I probably had about 8 returns in 100 items, which is pretty high. My average return ratio is about a 4%, which eBay says is about typical. You have about a 4% return. So I have over 450 transactions in the last 90 days, and I think it's about 8 returns total. But the majority of those returns has happened in the last 90 days. It seems like every time I sell about 10 or 15 items, I get a return. Some are my fault. Some are just, not trusting an item that's brand new. For instance, I had those glasses that I talked about in the last video, were the 3D glasses, brand new, never opened, but since they were older and sat for so long, they no longer held a charge. But I had an interesting one. So I had bought a big lot of remotes, and one of the remotes I got was it's called an Invoca. It's like a talking remote, but it's like a really old, probably like from like the early 2000s kind of talking remote. Like this isn't like your Siri or, something like that. That's like an AI talking remote. This is like one of those old fashioned. When I get it back, I'll have to show you maybe what it looks like, or maybe I'll put it up on the screen at the end of this video. But anyways, I looked it up and the comps were really bad on it. It sold for like maybe $10 free shipping, and this thing weighs like a pound. It's a big remote. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna try to list it, I'll try to sell it. My buy cost on remotes is pretty low. So I went ahead and listed it. I think I listed it for $11 or $10.99 free shipping. And then I had sat for probably almost 90 days. And then I got a offer from a buyer. It started out like this, and what you should always be weary of, or look into it a little bit more. They said, hello, I'm such and such, I'm a disabled veteran, and I really would like this remote. I really want it. It would be so nice to have. It would help me so I wouldn't have to get up to find my remotes, and it could control my systems because it was a voice activated universal remote. And he's like, but I don't have my social security check, and I haven't been paid in a while, yada, yada, yada. Just going in depth about, their financial troubles and everything, and says that best I can do is $6, I think the first offer was. Now, mind you, they were in California. So he offered $6 and gave this whole story, which, it could be true. The story could be 100% true. He could be all that. And I feel for him. I thank you for your service for the vets and everything like that. And I was willing to make him a deal. But of course, he lived in California. They always live in California. I live in Florida, which California is my farthest that I ship to. I don't ship to Alaska or Hawaii or anything. So it's always people that live in California that want to give you the $5 offer free shipping, so, and it's like, it costs more than $5 to ship something. Typically the lowest you're going to pay for shipping is about $5. So anything you ship to California is going to cost me about $5. So just for anybody out there, so shipping costs money for sellers. We don't just have Amazon status that we can ship things for nothing, for pennies on the dollar. It costs us money to ship, so it costs about $5. So I said, no, I can't do that because after eBay fees and shipping, I would be making nothing. I said, I think I countered them at $8, which $8 even was too low. I think I ended up making like 39 cents or something like that on this purchase. But I went ahead and I offered him $8. He accepted. Ship it off. Then about 2 weeks later, I get a message saying, hey, what's the return policy? I want to return this remote. It only controls my sound bar and my my DVD player. It doesn't control my TV. It doesn't have my TV listed as being something it can control. So I said, well, you can go ahead and return it, but just know that I'm going to deduct the shipping from your return because this is a basically bought by mistake item. Like, he bought this, should have researched it to make sure that it worked for your thing, and also I made nothing on it, so I'm not gonna refund you. I'm not paying for the shipping coming back to me. I honestly should have just let him keep it. But he did file it as item doesn't fit, which means that he had to pay shipping. It sat for 2 weeks, and then today it showed that he is sending it back. So I messaged him and said, hey, how much did that cost you to ship? Because I can only imagine if it cost him around what I paid. So it cost him $5. He bought it for $8. We both spent $10 in shipping now to ship this $8 product. And when he ships it back, I'm gonna deduct, because as a top rated seller, you can deduct shipping costs or a percentage of the sale if for some reason the item doesn't come back how it was described, which this is a brand new item. So I know it's been opened. It's gonna be not as how it was. And I'm gonna deduct the shipping that I sent, because if I refund him, I would lose money on this item. And which it's not a big deal. I don't mind losing the money, but it's the fact that I already did a deal for him. You know, I gave him a really good deal. I shipped it out even though I made like 39 cents. And then because it doesn't work for every system, he's gonna ship it back. And it's one of those things where it almost make more sense if it was a $200 item, you know, and they said, hey, this thing doesn't work, and I spent $200 on it. But you spent $8. And I know $8 can be a make or break for some people for certain things. You know, there's been days in my life where I needed that $8. But yeah, I feel like since it was such a cheap item, he should have just kept it. It worked for 2 of your things, and you could have just used the remote for the TV. It worked for your DVD player and his sound bar. Hey, that's 2 out of 3. I think that's pretty good for $8. But yeah, he's sending it back now, so we'll see what happens. I'll let you guys know when that return goes through. Let me know, would you just let him keep it? Honestly, I probably would have just let him keep it, or give him I don't even know. I wouldn't even wanted to give him a refund really, because I didn't make anything on the item. You know, I just did it just to get it out of my store. I would have rather sold it at a garage sale for $1 or $2 than to ship it out and do all that to go through return. It definitely holds true, ladies and gentlemen out there in the eBay reselling world. If people are asking, and it's not to be mean, I understand you're buying something online, it's not the same as being in the store and seeing it in person. But sometimes in life, you just gotta take a risk and you do it, you know? There's so many things I bought on Amazon that, you know, I ended up not needing, or it didn't work for what I wanted it to, or just for whatever reason, I didn't need it anymore, or I didn't want it anymore, or buyer's remorse, whatever it was. And I would say I do return. I mean, Amazon has made us all this way. We return things like it's nothing, but there's been so many times where I probably spent hundreds of dollars, maybe even $1,000 on items that I didn't need or didn't even use, that I just ended up keeping because it wasn't worth to go through the whole process of trying to get it returned. Especially on eBay. I think a lot of people, they don't realize that eBay's not the same as Amazon. You know, these are people that do this as a part-time job. We're not a big $1 million business that can, you know, take these losses and hits. But, you know, just be wary of people asking a lot of questions. If they're asking a lot of questions, you can almost guarantee you're going to have a return or some kind of issue. I don't know why, I don't know what makes it true, but it just is. Anytime I get a question about an item, especially when it's something that's in the description, you know, I have all the time on my clothing, what size is this? When it says, I usually try to put it in the title that it's a medium or a large. And it's definitely in the, you know, the description down below. And I never answer those because, or they'll say, hey, this is a triple XL. Can you measure all the way across the shirt? I did that one time. I had this nice name brand with tags, Golf Polo. That was a triple XL. And they said, hey, can you measure across the width of the shirt? And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, it's a triple XL. I feel like, you know, it should fit if you usually wear triple XLs. It's not like, you know, larges or mediums where they kind of run different sizes depending on different brands. Because I know, like, you know, like Ralph Lauren or, I don't know, those other high-end brand name shirts, you know, they run a little tight if you get a, you know, a large compared to different brands like Nike if you get a large. But I went ahead and did it, sent him it, and then he says, he never said anything back. I said, hey, did you still want to buy? And he said, oh no, I changed my mind. It's like, you just had me like bring my tape measure, unpack, because I pack my shirts and my clothing, I pre-pack everything, take it out of the packaging, measure it, and then all that for nothing. I had a, what was it? It's a Spanish elective program for homeschoolers. So it's like it comes with the DVDs and the workbooks. It sells for like $140 on a brand new. And this was an open box, but it wasn't used. None of the workbooks had been used, nothing like that. And I had this lady, she started asking me a whole bunch of questions about it. How many CDs does it come with? well, I took pictures of the outside of the box showing this comes with this item. So I said, well, according to this picture, it comes with 7 CDs. Then she asked, do any of the workbooks have anything written in them? And I put in the description, workbooks are clean, no. And I put pictures showing the workbooks are nice and new, no one's used them. Said no. And then she said, what's the difference between this elective program and there's a newer version of it out there? Because there's another version, if you look up this, I can't even remember, I think it's like Life Pack or something, but there's a newer version of the same thing, and it comes with the same amount of CDs, but I'm sure it's just a little updated. You know, it's like, I think a 2 or 3 year newer program, but same amount of CDs and everything. What's the difference? And I'm like, lady, I'm just selling this item. I don't know all the differences that comes with this thing. You know, you got to do some of the research on your own. And I said, to me, it doesn't look, I even went ahead and I looked it up. I tried to answer. I said, well, this other one sells for $200. So I was selling it for, I think I had it listed for $90 or $100. And even the one I had, brand new, sells for $144, which mine was basically brand new. It just was opened. But even the newer version sold for $200. And I told her all that. And then after everything's said and done, she doesn't say anything. So the next day I say, hey, you know, are you still interested in this item? And she said, well, what's the best price you could do? So I send her an offer. Then she offers me. Then another day goes by. I counter offer her back. Then I think we're on our like second or last counter offer. Finally, she accepts. I think we settled at $80. So I came down from 100 to 80, $20 off. She gets the item and she's like, hey, one of the CDs was a duplicate. It didn't come with this blah, blah, blah CD. So I was like, oh, okay, that sucks. I thought I checked them all. Let me go look and see if I can find the CDs online. So I went, looked, I found the CDs. I said, I can send me the item back. I'll give you a refund. I'm sorry about that. I found the CDs online. I don't know if you'd want to buy them instead. And at first she's like, no, I'll just go ahead and return the item. So I said, okay, go ahead and open up a return. I'll take it back. I'm really sorry. You know, it's my fault. There was a duplicate of one CD instead of getting like CD4, she got 2 CD7s or something like that, whatever the case was. So then the next day she's like, hey, actually I did find those CDs that you were talking about, but they cost $30 to buy all of them. And I'm like, well, you don't have to buy all of them. I found a site where you can just buy one. And I said, even if I did buy all of them, I would just end up reselling them all. So I would rather just have you send the item back. I know it's not your fault. It's not, you know, I should have checked that, make sure they were all there, but I would rather just have the item back. I can sell the CDs individually. Then she comes back and basically says, no, it's okay. Maybe I could just get a partial refund. And it's just like working up to that. It's just, I would rather people just come out and say, hey, you messed up. Can you just give me like $5 off? Because then she was like, whatever you think's fair. To me, what's fair, I'd give you like, you know, whatever the CD costs, $8 off. And she says, how about $16? Because she was going to buy the whole pack of CDs, $30. And I said, what about 10? And she settled on 10. So just kind of a learning thing. Make sure you're checking in the boxes. I mentioned this in the last video. Just because it looks brand new, check and make sure everything's in there that's supposed to be in there. And, you know, don't ever, I know it sounds mean, but don't ever accept a return without taking the item back. Don't let them send you back. Don't let them keep the item. I know you don't want to pay the return shipping. It sucks because you paid to ship it there, or well, typically the buyer paid to ship it there, but you're paying to ship it back. So especially if it's a cheap item, but don't let them, because that just encourages bad behavior. And make them ask for the discount that they want. Don't offer anything. Make them say if they want a $5 refund. I had a person not too long ago say that I sent a leather jacket, nice Corvette leather jacket, genuine leather, made in the USA, sells for like $150. I sold mine I had it listed for $100. They sent me an offer. It was a back and forth thing, ended up settling on it, packaged it up, sent it to them. They get it about a week after they got it. They send me a message saying, hey, I got the jacket, or hey, I got the package, but the jacket wasn't in it. And sent me this whole paragraph explaining different things that happened or different scenarios. So I messaged them and said, well, if you didn't get the jacket, what did you get? Because this jacket probably weighed almost 2 pounds. It's a big, heavy duty, size large men's leather jacket. And typically if an item is, for some reason, because I sent this in a poly bag, if the item somehow fell out or something happened to it or was tampered with and the item didn't arrive, USPS will put an orange sticker on it. It'll say item was lost in transit. There's like different boxes they can check, but basically meaning that the package came with nothing in it. So it must have fallen out somewhere. because all throughout the postal system, when it's getting scanned, they have scales that weigh it. So if it's starts at 2 pounds and then ends up being 1 ounce or nothing because it's a poly bag and weighs nothing, they know that obviously something happened to the item. So I was really kind of, and typically if he's saying the item wasn't in there, I've had it where I've accidentally shipped somebody the wrong item. They automatically send me a picture. Like, let's just say, they bought this water cup and then they ended up getting a toothbrush instead. They take me a picture. Oh, I was supposed to get this water bottle, but I got a toothbrush. But this guy didn't say that. And then I think it was a week later, he finally messaged me back and said, well, I did get the jacket, but it was missing pieces. And that it wasn't packaged well. And since it wasn't packaged well, it was damaged during shipping, and sent me a picture of a little piece of tear in the leather. And he said, if you give me the money back for the shipping and pay me back for, or no, it wasn't the shipping. He wanted to go back to his original offer that he'd sent me. He wanted the original, I think he offered 75 and I had countered back at 85 and he accepted the 85. He said, if you go to give me back the money for the $10, because I offered 75 and I really didn't want to pay 85, and give me the money to fix the jacket, I'll give you positive feedback. Now, this is a leather jacket. It doesn't come with anything extra. He said that there was contents missing, but he found them later, which I think he was trying to cover up the fact that he realized that he said nothing came or the wrong item came. And then that he's saying the right item is here, but there's this other problem, that the damage. So I think he kind of tried to change his story. The leather jacket doesn't come with anything else. Nothing was not, it's not like buying a Crayola box with crayons in it and some of the colors were missing. Like, this is one item, it comes all together in one piece. So off the bat, my alarm bells. So yeah, I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, what is this guy talking about? Like, I don't even know. He's just making up stuff at this point. And then right off the bat, which I've had this happen before, where they say, give me this and I'll give you positive feedback, which is straight up against eBay's policy. It's straight up feedback extortion, getting something in exchange for positive feedback. And it works the same way as the seller. If I was to say, hey, I'll give you $5 off if you give me positive feedback, I could also get hit on my side for that. You can never offer something to get positive feedback. It just has to be earned. And the buyer can't do the same thing for the buyer. They cannot ask for positive feedback in exchange for a refund or a partial refund, or, sending another item, or, whatever the case may be. But I've had it before where the same thing happened, where they said, I'll give me positive feedback or I'm not giving you a refund. They left me like negative feedback, but eBay wouldn't take it off because they said it wasn't feedback extortion, even though he's saying in the message that he would. Ended up, I did get a hold of somebody at eBay. That's another thing too. Sometimes you do have to call and talk to somebody else, because one person will do something that somebody else won't. I don't know why they do that, but they do. But anyways, so then I messaged him and said, oh, I'm really sorry that the jacket got damaged. I tried to make sure I ship all my items, trying to, smooth things over. And then I was saying that this was a jacket was sold as one piece, so I don't understand what you mean by missing items with the jacket. It came as one. I'd be happy to take the jacket back. That's the thing. You always need to make sure you ask for the item back, because a lot of times they don't want to send the item back. They want to keep it. They just want to see if they can get a refund out of you. Then he messaged me back a long message basically saying, hopefully you weren't doing anything underhanded. You didn't show me this jacket in the pictures. And of course it was the spot where the damage was, so I feel like you were trying to hide it, but I don't think an eBay seller would do that with your rating. I think I'm just gonna let bygones be bygones. I won't never buy from you again. I've had a horrible experience on eBay, and basically, God bless, something like that. So that was just, to me, seemed like he was just trying to see what he could get out of me, see if he could get a refund. I think, honestly, that the jacket, he damaged it when he opened it up, because I had pictures of where the damage was on eBay and there was no damage. And it was not really like something that I think would happen in shipping. I think he was cutting the poly bag open with some scissors and cut the jacket on accident. But I did end up giving him back $10. I told him I'm not gonna pay for the damage to the jacket. And he was happy to get the $10 off. But I was telling him, I'll just take it back and I'll get it fixed myself if that was the case. But he ended up not doing that. So just be careful, stand your ground. Don't let people push you around. There's not, and I'm not saying it was a scam. Maybe everything was true, but you have to stand your ground on some things, because there's a lot of times where the buyer is just fishing for a little bit of a discount more than what they paid. He accepted $85, knowing that he had to pay $85. If he didn't like it, he could have declined it. He wanted the jacket, so he was willing to pay that extra $10. So just keep an eye out for that. Don't let them push you around. But that is gonna be pretty much it for this episode, guys. It has been my pleasure to bring this to you. I hope I have shared some of my struggles as an eBay seller so that you don't have to go out there, find that gold, and sell that treasure. Mr. Florida Flipper, out.